Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all of those who watch competitive Left 4 Dead 2 in the year 2022, and welcome to the playoffs of the United Nations Tournament 2021-2022, right here on Krych's stream. I am Rails Barlow, your caster for this evening's game, and I am so glad to say that we have a hell of a match in front of us on a new map that I do believe is making its tournament debut in the competitive community. That is Crash Course Rerouted, and that of course was made by Mr. MK himself, longtime player from the North American scene. This match right here is going to be a doozy because we have a one-game match in front of us on high ping. The two teams being the tournament's #1 seed, the Boyz in the Favela, and the #9 seed, I believe. Nope, #8 seed rather, Skyrise, are going to be playing this best of one on this custom campaign right here. Normally, if you saw two teams of this caliber going at it at this stage in the tournament, you might expect the higher seed to win, but let me say right now, since this is a custom map and a relatively new one at that, this could be anyone's game. As I mentioned before, this is on Krych's stream. Krycha, how are you doing this evening? I know you can't talk, I'm asking you anyway. You doing well? Awesome, awesome. Krych is doing good, I'm doing good. We're excited to actually bring this game live relatively soon. I think we're only actually waiting for one more member of Team Boyz in the Favela, if I'm not mistaken. But as I mentioned before, both these teams, longtime competitive players. Boyz in the Favela have been, from what I've seen at least, one of the best teams in the world over the past couple of years. I did see the match that they played against Envy recently, and that was a really, really good game, but I have the feeling like this tournament right here, United Nations 2021, has a bit more to go before we declare anybody the champion. So, actually, what we're looking at right now is the fact that both the teams have red ping here on LA is one thing, but they're actually trying to figure out if they want to switch the game from LA to Chicago. Let me tell you right now, I am definitely not admin of this tournament, so I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen. And yeah, quarantine anniversary talking about pings, we're going to be seeing our first swap immediately from one server to the other, but either way, I'm still pretty sure it's going to be one game. So if you'll give us just a second, we will be right back with the actual match once the teams find out what server they want to play on. So be right back.
No pulse and all alone. Time's not kind and it won't let go. No thoughts left in my head. My mind's on mine and it won't forget. But you bring me back from my darkness black. Cause the soul in me and the heart I had for you. It bleeds for you, it beats again. Oh, you bring me to life. 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 Bring me to life. Oh, you bring me to
Okay, Skyrise playing from the EU. They're gonna have players that definitely have between, you know what, like 100. I think Innuendo was pushing like 200 something. He was looking at LA like that, but I'm not exactly sure how much more balanced Chicago's going to be at this stage. But Skyrise here are definitely pinging all, well, mostly orange except for Innuendo because he's got a bit higher ping based on where he's from. But depending on what Boyz in the Favela get, I think Dina is due to get maybe orange ping here as well, which would be okay to play this, but I would be worried about, I don't know. This is the thing about playing competitive Left 4 Dead 2 in 2022, right? Because you got the home and away system, then you got the one game. Personally, as an admin, as a caster, and as a player, like, I absolutely just love the one game scenario because you can get so much excitement out of just a single game like this versus the home and away, but it really does depend on how balanced the pings are going to be. If this holds, though, well, no, Dana's already disconnected, because if, yeah, DDA, without everybody being on the server, already has like 200 pings, so I'm not sure if this is exactly going to work. But once again, as I mentioned, not being an admin of this tourney, they are going to figure that out maybe as soon as possible. But if you're asking me right now, LA actually might be better than what we're seeing here. But that's just based on the initial eye test for this, unless we get a couple of lower pings for the other Australian members. But I do not expect that. Let's see if they actually decide to play it or if they decide to switch servers, because they're already talking about the strats in team chat for this. So basically, just to give a rundown of exactly what this map is, this is the first time that we're seeing it played in a competitive setting in terms of a tournament, but I've seen pugs being played on it in friends games in a couple different groups, and it was in the running to be part of RBT6 as well, but it did not make it, unfortunately. This is going to be the time that I think we see exactly how the map plays, you know, in a high-level competitive game like this. And actually, because they switched to Chicago, it looks as though Boyz in the Favela are going to be making a change, maybe to having Dr. Sheep play, as well as one other person, which I'm not 100% sure who is on their full roster at this point, because that's one of the things that I've liked about their team, is that they've been able to do pretty well with, like, a different lineup of people, or, like, you know, and I think when you can play with all 6 or something like that, that shows how strong an overall team really is. And in situations like this, it helps them because the fact that DDA has 200 ping is going to be offset by the fact that Sheep is pinging like 65 or something, at least at the moment. So depending on who their 4th is, actually, this could work, because then Innuendo and DDA are both going to be the red ping. Everybody else is either orange or green, and we can just call it a day. But that does kind of change the team dynamics a little bit. And if you were asking me on a 4 versus 4 situation like this, I mean, if it were the entire, like, Aquilix roster Favela playing, then it might even be better to do just, like, the full LA. But, I don't know. With Dina also now getting 123, this should be relatively fine. Something I'll say, though, about this matchup, like I said, even though it is the second round of the playoffs at this point, right, this being on this custom map is going to have a lot to do with what we see happening here. And I mean that because the map itself is built pretty much to benefit the special infected side of things, if I remember correctly. Okay, so they're also going to be using caution for this. And then maybe someone else on the other team will have matching ping for it, but we will see exactly what they say. But yes, very special infected sided map. It's 5 maps, all of which are inspired by the original Crash Course, and they actually go around each other, I think, in a really interesting way, which we'll see as the game goes on. If this holds here on Chicago with this late tank, then that will be interesting to see, because there are a couple really good areas to fight the tank on this map that have been built in with just a couple of hittables and a fair amount of open space. But now we're talking about whether or not we're going to drag out the VPNs, and I'm not 100% sure if that's going to happen, because I don't think Skyrise are using any, exactly, and that's what they're saying now. And then NF's saying, I guess, maybe they will have some kind, but depending on what Venom is getting here from France, he's probably going to have something in the orange as well. If NF is pinging 126, then I don't see a way that Venom has red ping on this server. They're saying 598 total for Favela, and then they don't have access to the VPNs because the government would ban them. Okay, yeah, so we're not doing that. Well, maybe we are. But I don't know. I think if I'm looking at this here, like, Sheep having 42 total, I don't know if they're actually going to put VPNs on 2 of the players who are orange, but yeah, they would need to download and set this stuff up. I'm not 100% sure, because I don't know if Sheep having that low ping offsets Favela, that's caution, and DDA having, like, 195 and 211 on tab. So Skyrise right now has, let's see if I remember how to do math. Okay, so right now Skyrise has 523 and Favela has 598 in terms of pings. That's a 70-point difference. I mean, arguably what we should be doing is we should be having somebody invest in just some kind of land center in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean to have everybody go to, but in lieu of that being possible, I'm pretty sure, I think this might actually be what gets us to ready up here. So either way, I mean, there are so many things that can possibly happen in this game that you really, really want to have the lowest ping possible, especially on Survivor side on a custom map, but at the same point, it's hard to say before the match is played exactly how much of a difference this is going to have. But it obviously means that DDA playing with 214 playing shoddy, he can do it because he has a lot of experience playing in high-level matches internationally, but they're not going to be able to play the same way they would if this were Australia and they get the chance to have a 2-person game. So I understand that from a playing perspective. but I feel like this actually might be the closest that we're going to get with just that 70-point difference. Because back in the day when all the servers were hosted in North America, it was everybody else who had to play with the higher ping just to basically participate in tournaments at that point, which wasn't the right answer, I don't think. And in a lot of cases, I don't think the home and away solution covers it either. So I think of the options that we have available to us here, this is probably the best, especially because Sheep is getting that sweet, sweet green ping. So need somebody to play shoddy around corners, it's probably going to be him. Anyway, with that said, I do believe we are finally ready to be taking this match live. We're going to be seeing the second round of the United Nations Tournament 2021 right here in the playoff stage as these two teams are readying up, going live. They're saying fuck Krecha, which is just, you know, that's the usual banter you expect to see for the casters and streamers in the community, but we're going to be having Team Skyrise on the Survivor side first and Team Favela Boys on the Special Infected going live right now. That's your number 1 seed Favela on SI and your number 8 seed Skyrise on Survivor. For Team Skyrise on Survivor side first, it's NF, Frey, Venom, and Innuendo, and for Boys in the Favela, it's DDA, Dina, Sheep, and Caution. First hit going in, Hunter trying to do a wall kick but failing and now having to pounce off the top there back onto the air conditioning unit as the survivors are being very, very careful about this first hit. Smoker is already pre-spawned behind the plane. They get a chip on that Hunter as well. He's down to about 3/4 health as he goes in, and there's the skeet going out by Frey onto DDA as the spitter gets cleared. This boomer is absolutely not in the attack whatsoever until now and does not manage to land. So that's zeros on the board for Team Boys in the Favela off that 2-2 to start this off. So, as I mentioned before, these areas are directly inspired by the original Crash Course, but they have been expanded and had a completely different path put into them. So we're going to be seeing map knowledge really, really come into play here, even though we are in the second round of the playoffs. Next hit is going to go in. It's a 3-1 Charger, Jockey, Hunter, and a Spitter, probably looking to hit at some point inside here. Hunter going for the wall kick, going to land onto NF in the front. Jockey getting dead stop behind that as the Spit goes down in front and the Charger whiffs down below. So that actually had the potential to do a whole lot more damage had the Infected decided to stack on that Survivor in front. The Charger went for the play behind, going for the multi-cap. After that, Jockey got M2'd because of the pounce landing in front, but that pounce Spit does just get first damage really on the board for Boys in the Favela. As I mentioned a little bit ago, the tank's going to be at 70%, so we have a bit of a ways before we actually encounter that, and lots of choke points for these Special Infected to use, with a lot of rocket spawns as well, because as I said, this map being designed for competitive play, you just kind of expect to see stuff like that. Jockey, Smoker, Boomer, Hunter for the next hit going in now as the pull is going to miss on the Survivor in the back. Two survivors do get boomed as they move inside, and now this Jockey and this Hunter are just looking for any kind of cap they can possibly get. But there goes the Smoker pull going out. Hunter going for the intercept, but getting blown out of the sky by NF Meister right there as the Jockey lands onto Lewis in the front. That's a little bit of a slow clear on that, and actually that Jockey still isn't clear. This Jockey by Dr. Sheep, 12 health left, but getting over 50 damage on that. Originally, I didn't think that was going to do a massive amount of damage because the survivors are double boomed, but inside, they managed to make it work by getting those cappers to land almost one by one. So, that said, we're going to be seeing Skyrise putting on their running shoes just a bit here as they start climbing up this ladder choke point. Let me tell you, this is a pretty precarious spot for the survivors. This hit has the potential to do a lot of damage. Boomer, Hunter, Spitter, and a Charger. 4 Boys in the Favela on this. Let's see if they decide to... See if they decide to send it now or when the survivors just get a little bit closer on this side. It looks like they're going to wait for the survivors to get on top of the trains with that Charger and Hunter both wanting to go from above them. Hunter going in, managing to get the land. Charger goes in, and Lewis did not turn around for that. Triple boom goes out. Spit goes down on the charge target as he's going to get hoarded. That's a full in cap onto Venom from that choke point. That Charger jumped off the roof and managed to charge all the way down that awning, but he did not see exactly what was going on until it was too late, and that will be almost a death actually going out onto him because he's down to just about 80 health as he was bleeding there, so nearly a kill from that hit from Boys in the Favela, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. On your hard rains or dark carnivals or parishes, you don't usually expect to see a hit like that go out, but because the map is so new and because both teams really are going to take advantage of the SI side of things here, that's what can happen so fast on one of those hits. And now there's a quad cap up for Boys in the Favela as well. Charger, Smoker, Hunter, Jockey for it. Let's see what they're able to do because Skyrise are going to take this slow, it would seem, going on the left-hand side and maybe baiting this rooftop because they might figure that there is a pretty strong hit waiting for them here. They have to not only go down this first pathway, but then they have to jump onto that box truck and another level below that. So they need to be real careful about these spawns from above as they go in. Charger lands. That is the quad cap going out from Boyz in the Favela. Just as I was mentioning, they had to watch for those rocket spawns. That smoker literally has 7 HP, and on a map like this that is this new, that is exactly how that can happen. What a gorgeous hit going out from the tournament's #1 seed right here in the playoffs in absolutely perfect fashion. Mental gained going out from DDA, and if anybody was wondering if Boyz and Favela were going to bring the hype to this match, they have just brought it. That is a first map quad. Wow, wow, wow. Everything was pretty low on that too. You saw the survivors spectate afterwards to check the health of the special infected, and that is exactly why, because you would think that one of those things was going to die, and that smoker almost did. It had 7 health left by the time that charger landed on top of those boxes. It was a great way for the infected to hit them when they had the ability just to drop in completely on their heads, everything from above, and that is how you do the most damage, especially in a match of this caliber. So now Skyrise is going to be on the back foot just a little bit. We'll see if they are actually able to make anything happen on their SI side as well, because I would say they have the team chemistry to do just that. But Boyz in the Favela, with all the momentum and the +5 mentals going out in team chat, they're going to be on Survivor side now, looking to capitalize on that quad. It's going to be a Smoker, Hunter, Boomer, Spitter once again for the special infected, this time being Team Skyrise, as we have this Hunter land on to Lewis with the spit going down on top of that. Smoker is going to look for a quick pull, but is not going to get it, and I'll be very interested to see exactly who is playing what for Team Boyz in the Favela here, because looks like we got 3 shotguns, 1 Uzi, with Caution running the Uzi, and you've got the Chrome on Dr. Sheep too. They're going to be trying to capitalize on that green ping, I'm pretty sure, as much as possible as they push into this first warehouse. They're actually going to take the staircase as well before the SI are able to get set up, so going first as SI here, really, really paying off so far for Team Boyz in the Favela, because they have got the pace of this map down as best as they can. Hunter is pre-spawned to the side. You already heard the call out from Lewis. Jockey, Charger, Spitter for the rest of this attack. It looks as though they're going to be trying to rocket the Charger from the roof as the Jockey's in the window. Jockey going in, managing to land though onto Zoe. The rest of the hit just a second behind. Skeet going out by Dina there onto Innuendo, and absolutely nothing going down on that. Had the Charger and the Hunter been just a split second faster, that could have been a disastrous attack, but because the Jockey went out in the front first, that gave the survivors time to clear that, and then they got the Skeet, dodged the Charger, no spit damage to say really either. So this is a nice job once again by Boyz in the Favela, making quick work of this map. But one thing I'll also say is that I think it's really, really easy to get into a bad spot here if you're not careful. We saw the hit that happened with this exact same setup the last time around, but that Smoker's going to get cleared. Hunter's going to land onto Lewis, another very quick clear going out, and you saw the goes going out in team chat there. One thing I'll say, having seen Left 4 Dead 2 at this point for about a decade, is that I love the way in which the speed of the game has gotten to at this point, right? It's got to the point where it is the go-go mod, essentially. And when you're playing a game of this level that's a one game, it can be kind of risky to go at that pace, but I also like it when teams are able to just keep their same play style and be aggressive as possible on either Survivor or Infected with their pacing and their hits. So let's see if Skyrise follows that same philosophy here. Charger, Boomer, Smoker, Spitter, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get that Boomer to land with where the survivors are standing. He's trying to spawn underneath them on that right-hand side of the train cars, but I don't think he... Oh, now he's going to get the spawning. Does get a single boom. Charger, though, lands on Francis's head. Not able to land, but there's a beautiful pull going out in the back onto Dr. Sheep, who is now going to get cleared, but he is going to be reset and having to climb back up that ladder. There's nothing up, however, except for this Charger, though, that's in the hands of NF, doing a quick despawn, maybe trying to beat Zoe to the punch here, but he is not going to get that spawn, because there's the block by the survivors that we kind of expected from a situation like that. So, not really a huge issue for Boyz in the Favela whatsoever, and they are now approaching the point that the quad on their infected half went out, but they're going to shoot this alarm car first. Spitter, Charger, Jockey, Hunter, the thank you sheep, of course, being required for that, but they shoot the alarm car, and now they push their way inside. And here's the thing. If the infected decide to hit now, they are just going to completely blitz this choke. They're going to go running straight through it down the box truck, essentially. They don't mind sitting here to clear out the rest of this horde. The other thing we have to worry about is that with that tank at 70%, that's a 16% map distance between where they are now and where the tank's going to be. That's enough time for the SI to set up too and maybe do something really, really detrimental to the survivors. Maybe not a quad cap or anything like a double charge with spit, but they're going to be able to get some kind of damage here if they use this roof correctly, either now or if the survivors decide to transition down here. But they've waited for the entire horde to clear, and now they're going to work their way outside, knowing the damage potential of this area. Charger, Jockey, Hunter, and Spitter for the next hit coming in. Charger's going for Lewis, but is not going to land. It does get juked out by Dana. We do have the Hunter landing in the back with Spit going down on top of that as well. So a little bit of damage, but obviously Team Boyz and the Favela are now in complete control of this game. Luckily for Team Skyrise, they are going to have a tank up in the hands of the one and only NF Meister in just a couple of seconds. And honestly, it might be really, really early to say this, but in a 5-map campaign that you're playing, so I'm assuming we're playing Finale unless map 4's score differential is just completely, like, out of reach for the other team. But, I mean, this could be a huge turning point for this game if Boyz and the Favela are able to shut down this tank and make their way to the safe room. But they're first killing this hit that we already see partially spawned. Smoker going for a pull in the front, not quite finding it, however, getting chipped under that car and then taken out. Charger, Boomer, and Jockey maybe waiting for the tank spawn now, and indeed they are. Boomer spawns up top, is not landing quite yet though. He's going for an arc. Boomer getting chipped, and he does manage to find a single boom as the tank in the hands of NF is right here. He's going to be working his way instantly in on that, because I do believe this is going to be a hittable in the corner, but he actually doesn't hit the dumpster. It's either real or he just missed it. He's going in now, pushing the survivors around. That car is not hittable either. He is completely lost on this map, missing a punch, finally getting his first punch onto Bill, getting another punch now, 300 health left, Horde going out, Jockey is landing, Charger's going for punches. This is absolute mayhem on the side of Team Boyz in the Favela, but they are somehow going to get out of this with only one in-gap. Oh my goodness. That tank, he went for the dumpster first. That wasn't hittable. Then he went for the hatchback. That also wasn't hittable. And then the survivors just ran him around as they were clearing a single boom. That is not the start that you want if you are on Team Skyrise whatsoever. Boyz in the Favela looking to just take a huge lead on this chapter from I think from a mental standpoint and in terms of points, just based on what we saw there. Hunter's gonna go in though, managing to land onto Lewis. That's gonna be a smoke spawning in the front too as the spit goes down, but absolutely really nothing happening on that hit aside from a bit of spit damage. And now the Boomer's gonna drop down from the top and is gonna get M2'd and popped. Fun fact, there is actually no event here whatsoever on this version of the map either, because you're traversing a pretty decent distance. And yeah, after a tank in that spot, obviously the tank didn't do as much damage as they really needed it to on Skyrise's side. But at the same point in time, no, Team Boyz in the Favela have done a good job of shutting down these hits. I'm not sure if that's because of a bit of the increased map knowledge that we talked about before, but we've already seen it have a huge impact in this playoff match. Last hit of this first map is going to be a Smoker, Jockey, Charger, and a Hunter quad cap attempt, but that's going to be the Charger whiffing as the Jockey and Hunter both land. Hunter gets a couple claws onto Lewis there, but nothing really going out because the clears were fast enough to have that happen, and now the Smoker is going to be the last thing. Basically just annoying, going for some kind of other pull, managing to land it for a split second, but they're not even going to kill him yet because they're just going to make their way into the warehouse as the Smoker does dive off the bridge. Really nice start by the Tourneys, #1 seed. Boyz in the Favela, 1,016 points on the first map of Crash Course Rerouted against Team Skyrise's 266. Now, Kreija, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I know that Team Skyrise sometimes, just sometimes, like to try to come back in games, right? Like, they really like to find ways to win games in, like, you know, stunning fashion. This is gonna have to be one of those Skyrise games, unfortunately for them, because, okay, it's 800 points almost of difference, I would say, right? Like 750 exactly. If they can manage to get a wipe at some point, right, it's of course always possible, but already here on map 2, you see the tank spawning at 82%. So unless Skyrise are able to get some kind of quad, I would say, onto Boyz in the Favela, or just some completely next level infected hits, they actually might be able to have that happen, but 82% is not like the early wipe that you want to then be able to get in front of the other team At least not yet. Let's see if they manage to get a better spawn the next couple maps. Their first problem is going to be holding Team Boyz in the Favela to... Basically, if they can kill them at the tank here, that would be great, but with a score difference this big from the first map, it's not quite time to panic for them, but they got to start thinking about exactly how they're going to do this. They're going to try to basically start off well, I would say, coming from the rooftops again. I feel like I'm saying this a lot because, you know, that's basically the metagame at this point is to spawn on the roofs as much as possible when they're there. And if you notice on maps like Hard Rain Downpour, Dark Carnival Remix, and now also this, you know, those spawns are going to be what make or break a game like this. We've already saw one rocket quad, and if they can make that happen here for Team Skyrise, they would absolutely love it. It's not going to be this first hit, though. Smoker, Boomer, Spitter, and a Hunter. For this first attempt at damage, let's see if they manage to get it to work. Boomer misses the arc boom. Smoker gets the pull, but gets M2'd and self-cleared. Spit goes down in the back. Boomer does get a proxy for a little bit of damage, and it looks as though this Spitter, in the hands of Frey, is looking to stay on the rooftop, so they're not going for the quad right off the bat. They're going to be going for some kind of damage hit, it would seem. So if the Charger is able to maybe get on the survivor in front, that being Dina, who's playing position one shotty, they might be able to stack some damage there, maybe with a Hunter or something. Let's see if they get that set up. Indeed they do. Charger, Hunter, Spitter, and a Jockey for this next hit for Team Skyrise. Let's see if they manage to do that chain that I was just talking about. But the Charger looks like he wants to spawn in the back again this time. Hunter's going for a wall kick off the cubicles. Now the Charger's repositioned. Hunter's going to go in and immediately decommit from that attack, but that got the Charger to spawn. Really good job by Dina there to bait that out, as we're now going to see the Charger and the Hunter both have to make their way back in. This Hunter still getting nothing, and there's the team skeet going out. Charger's looking to get Zoe around the corner here when she comes up the stairs, but it's just a game of cat and mouse at this point if the cat had just one massive arm. But Dina's saying, you know what, I don't care, I'm going in there, I'm picking the Spitter, dodging the Charger, and clearing the Jockey. That Charger does get a single charge to land, I do believe, down there for a split second, but only 16 damage so far off the first two hits from Team Skyrise. And now Favela Boyz are going to be able to drop into this next area. This is also a choke point here, as you can probably guess, with that fire escape, but Boyz in the Favela are showing that go-go motion that we've seen competitive Left 4 Dead 2 become recently. Let's see if this hit's able to do something, though, because it's a Smoker, Hunter, Boomer, and a Spitter, with the survivors now trying to back into this warehouse, managing to pop the Boomer before anyone gets boomed. And that's going to be the Hunter going in, managing to land on the Uzi for a 12 DP, along with a Stick going down on top of that. That's what you like to see if you're on Team Skyrise, at least for a little bit of damage there onto Caution, doing a good job of pouncing the Uzi when he wasn't quite expecting it. The Smoker and the Spitter are both going to be saving, too, as the survivors work their way forward. Let's see if there's any way that the Infected can maybe get... I don't know, they probably want a decent hit for when the survivors go outside. Yeah, the inside hit here actually is what they want, because the survivors have a really tight space that they have to traverse in some way here. But the survivors are taking it slow, thinking that the hit might come inside. It's going to be a Jockey, Smoker, Charger, and a Spitter. Let's see if they are able to deal with this, and I'm not sure if we're going to see the Charger... I don't know, the Charger might try to grab the person who drops. Let's see if they actually manage to make that work. But it's a little bit of an awkward position for the SI hit, just because I don't think there is actually a rocket there. Now the survivors are starting to poke their way outside instead of inside. Smoker Pull goes out in the front, gets M2'd and cleared, but the Charger is nowhere near that. You probably heard a little confusion in my voice there, but it's going to work out a bit for the Infected with that Jockey and Spit. I thought for sure they were going to hit inside, and they kept repositioning to where it's like, okay, let's maybe hit in this room, let's maybe hit in this room, but instead they end up hitting in a way it's a little bit awkward, where that Charger, I think, tried to jump through a window, which is not the ideal situation if you're looking to get a land in that area, unfortunately, for Team Skyrise. But let's see if they're managing to make something work here with that single boom going out in the open warehouse in the back. The survivors still holding W are now outside, going for the charge onto Zoe here, going to miss it. Hunter going for her as well, managing to get the land, but the Smoker's really not going to get a whole lot either. And so far, I think it's kind of obvious, like we mentioned at the top of the cast, right? But this is something where map knowledge is definitely showing itself a bit. You had to ask me right now, in terms of how comfortable they look, with the momentum from map 1 plus the map knowledge, Boyz in the Favela are rolling at this point. There's a lot of scrambling spawns, I think, on the special infected side, and just seeing the survivors hold W as fast as they are is pretty demoralizing, I would say, if you're playing on SI. But thankfully for Team Skyrise, they have a chance to make something happen here. Tank is going to be up into the hands of Venom. Charger is not going to land after the single boom. Spit's going to go down, though, onto Zoe as she's making her way around. Let's see if this tank is able to make something happen here. Going in, looking for what he can hit. That dumpster is definitely an option as it skips its way over the sedan, and the sedan is hittable as well. This is going to be super duper important for the survivors because they have to get their way all the way back at this point without catching any of these hittables that are going to be flying after them. As this SI hits, also ready to go in, but this dumpster is going in and barely misses DDA. They're going all the way back over this ladder. This dumpster also spiraling in, not going to hit. Such a precarious situation right now for the survivors as they're running back even further inside. This room is a decent place to take it, but there are hittables at play in here. There is this forklift plus something else. I'm fairly sure it's still hittable from the version I remember, and this is the hit they probably want for it. So Jockey, Smoker, Hunter for the SI support for Venom's tank. He's going to be working his way in right now, going for the hittable potentially on the side. If this isn't hittable, I was going to laugh my ass off. But now the survivors are back outside because they managed to juke that forklift so well. There are no hittables here, I don't believe either. But as they're going back in, he's already down to 3k and he kills his own Smoker. Oh, this is bad. There's a multi-punch going out. Jockey is looking to land too with that Hunter. There is the in cap going out, but this tank is dead with just one in cap. That was gorgeous movement from the survivors. Going inside, making him hit the forklift, saying there's no hittables out there, and then just immediately running back pretty much as soon as possible. That takes a good deal of coordination on survivor side, to say the least. And with that one in cap only, Boyz in the Favela are going to keep their way rolling. When they started running back like that Smoker was trying to get a separation pull outside, and then the tank jumped down to try to hit one of them and accidentally killed the Smoker as well. So 1/3 of the support unfortunately wasn't able to make it in that scenario. But once again, this hit's going to be going in. Charger is going to land in the corner onto Dina there. He's going to get spit as well, but the spit actually clips the tree and is not going to land. This is really not Skyrise's game so far, based on just what's happened as a combination of how well Favela Boyz have played with how they know the map and just dumb luck. That's the combination that does come into play here. Unfortunately, in ways for Team Skyrise that are definitely not helping them out at this point. Especially because the survivors, they're already 87% of the way through the map, and they're going to be looking to get into the safe room very, very, very shortly. So this might actually be the last hit for Team Skyrise. Smoker, Hunter, Jockey, and a Boomer for this hit. Let's see if they can make something happen. I mean, I don't know if it's quite the point where they have to go for quads. It depends on what happens on their survivor side. But it's to the point where they really, really need to try to turn this around as fast as they possibly can, as the survivors are about to pretty much score, I don't want to say like 2,700 points or something if this health holds. Right there, though, that's a good way to knock it down just a bit. A double boom going out, turning into a triple with that proxy. Hunter and Jockey both getting cleared as the Smoker is once again the last thing up. He is going to pull the one survivor who is not boomed as some more common damage is going in. But that's going to be Team Boyz in the Favela. I think they're almost going to get there. There might be one more hit that comes flying in after them as they're working their way into the safe room, but it's going to have to scramble for spawns right here. They're going to run into Horde on survivor side, though. That Charger is going to land. Jockey gets the intercept. There's the double cap. Smoker not quite on it, but that is exactly what Team Skyrise needed. They get 2 in caps and now a Smoker pull going out on to Lewis again. Well, rather, that was 1 in cap. They got 2 pinners to land at the same time there for the double cap with 1 in cap going out onto Caution. That was a tremendous amount of damage from Team Skyrise and Special Infected, and that really does help for what happened on that tank. This is matchable, I would say, now on Survivor's side. They needed to do something like that in order to give themselves a fighting shot, and they are going to hold Team Boyz in this Favela to 1,920 points for these first 2 maps, when it could have just been, like I said, if that hit doesn't go in and get that in cap, you're looking at good another like 300 points, I'm pretty sure, 250 to 3 on that, so it would have been closer to 2.2k than 2.5k, but you get my point. Alright, so let's see. Boyz in the Favela have that tank at 82%. There are a couple of hits here that they can really take advantage of if they decide to chain, like, the Hunter and the Charger, I would say, together. Speaking of the ways that the meta has completely evolved, that is 100% the way I've seen people get damage in everything from C to Pug to these games now. And I'll be interested to see exactly how Boyz in the Favela play it, because they're going to have that DDA tank at 82%, and this first hit as we go live here is going to be a Boomer, Hunter, Smoker, and a Spitter for them, as Team Skyrise are going to try to bait this, I think, as much as they possibly can, but they actually shoot each other there apparently on the first on the first couple M1s of the map, but they're going to try to clear out as many common as possible, probably, and then get away from this boomer, because the boomer's looking for the arc boom on a roof in order to turn this 2-2 into some amount of damage. Smoker's going to pre-spawn as well behind the truck in front of the survivors, trying to go for a pull on Bill, not going to land it. Hunter going for the wall kick, and I like the play by Skyrise here, making the infected go in as they're backing up. Hunter is still full health though, so they got to be a bit careful here as they are backing up from that boomer. Hunter's now going to go in, managing to land onto Zoe with a spit going down on top of that. Death spit going out on it too. That was almost an extremely clean shutdown, and still only about 17 damage going out on that first hit, so you'll take it on Survivor side for sure. But the thing that Team Skyrise have to watch out for now would be that charge spit combination, I think, inside. Depending on that death order, I'm not sure if Favela Boyz are going to get it, but let's see exactly what happens as the survivors are working their way forward. The Charger, Hunter, Jockey, and a Spitter, so actually the perfect setup, I would say, for Boyz in the Favela. Let's see if they decide to hit inside, and indeed, I think that's what they're going to do on these stairs. That Hunter's already pre-spawned, ready to go for the boxes on the wall kick, with that Charger setting up behind. Survivors are doing their best to block this, but they're not going to be able to, because there is the pounce, there's the charge spit stumble onto Francis, and actually, that was the epitome of having the entire SI hit go on one person, because that was the Charger, the Hunter, and the Jockey managing to get that damage onto Venom with that dog pile. I actually think the Charger might have stumbled just a split second too early there. I think if he waits a little bit more, that's even more damage going out. But either way, that's going to be a decent hit from Boyz in the Favela, getting around that 40 damage, and now they have a Boomer, Hunter, Smoker, and a Spitter for the next attack as Skyrise push their way forward. I'm estimating like probably 3 more hits before they spawn tank. Let's see if that holds up. Single boom goes out, is going to land. Hunter's going to land onto Zoe as well, with a spit going down on top of that. Smoker pull going out on the boomed guy in the back, but that's going to be the extent of the damage, aside from a little common chip going out onto Lewis. But that's going to be the W key being held by Skyrise, trying to push their way, I think, through this building. And I'm interested now to see where Boyz in the Favela are going to hit here, because as I mentioned, this is where I was kind of expecting Team Skyrise to hit inside with this, but because the survivors are already pushing their way outside and they have a boomer on SI, this might even be better. Let's see. Jockey, Charger, Hunter, and a boomer for this choke. As the survivors are working their way inside, if the SI are going to hit, they're going to go now, and indeed they are. Hunter's going for the wall kick down below. He's going to get skeeted. Charger's going to whiff. Jockey gets shut down. Charger gets a scratch. Jockey does manage to land with like 3 HP left with a triple boom for the trouble. So no real damage going out because the Hunter and the Charger both were unable to land, but Skyrise doing a good job pushing their way basically through this triple boom with no real damage, aside from the hit before the one we just saw. I think they have to take 1 more and then they'll have the tank if they manage to stay fast. Again, in an area like this, you kind of expect the survivors to have a bit of an advantage since the rockets aren't as OP and they also have room to kite. But the SI are looking for the damage from this Hunter-Charger combo, again, it would look like, because both of those are setting up. Now, actually, they're going for the... I spoke too soon. They're going for the rocket spawn now because they can just basically sandwich the survivors between these crates and that roof. I thought they were going to go for the stumble play again, but instead they are relying on that power of rocket spawning for this 3-1 with the Smoker looking to pull maybe to the front, actually, as this hit goes in. Charger's going in, managing to land. Smoker pull goes out. There's a triple cap going out from Team Boyz in the Favela onto Team Skyrise. That is the power of the rocket spawn combined with the container. When you have everything land like that, that was another picture-perfect hit from Team Boyz in the Favela on this map. Their SI is definitely suited, I would say, to what we've seen so far. The Favela Boyz. Shout out to MK. I think that is a great shout out to have, and at the perfect moment too, as we see this tank come up into the hands of DDA himself. This dumpster is going flying through the air, not going to land on much of anything. Boomer is going to get popped as this jockey is bouncing its way around, and DDA might be trying for the miracle hittable at this point. Let's see if he actually managed to get it to land. Skyrise are still needing to climb this ladder. That bin is not going to land. No, there's going to be no miracle hittables to be had, at least not yet. We do see NF going for a little bit of chip outside with the hit down, but the rest of the team is going to work their way inside as we have this hit coming up. So yes, that one forklift is hittable, and I think the survivors are actually thinking of maybe playing Ring Around the Rosie with the tank a bit as well, because they could go forward here pretty easily, but it looks as though the tank is preparing for that by putting this dumpster in the front I don't know if the survivors saw that, and that is a great play by DDA if he can prevent them from going in that direction. Hunter, Charger, Smoker for the SI support. They're going to be spawning above on a lot of these boxes. Tank is down to about 30% rage. He's going to be sending this in with a Smoker looking for a pull, maybe close to him, but he's already down to 4K now. Ad's in the middle of the room, but there's his corner onto Frey, getting another punch right there. Next punch coming in. One more is going to do it. Tank is down to under 2K. Hunter is going to land. Smoker is going to get cleared, though. Tank still working his way back over. Charger going for some kind of charge as the Tank is now getting a corner onto Lewis. That is going to be the in cap with one more punch, and now he's not going to have time to go for the forklift. He is going to get killed before that happens, but overall, really, really nice job by DDA to put that dumpster in front, prevent the survivors from cutting forward, and then get that initial corner as he's pushing the rest of the team into those spawns. Obviously, the SI support got cleared, but you really like the damage if your team Boyz in the Favela because of the lead that you already have. This is going to put one survivor slow, that being Frey in the back with that shoddy. And once that happens, you're going to see these hits come as fast as humanly possible, and that's going to be a double boom going right there onto the survivors. This could be kind of precarious because it's a Hunter, a Jockey, and a Spitter for the next hit. This room could do a decent amount of damage depending on the stumble capacity, as that Hunter is going to get blown out of the sky by Frey. Jockey on top as well, looking to drop its way in. There's the pre-spit and the Jockey both landing. Frey is going to be in-capped, and that is going to put him black and white. Super unfortunate for him, but once again, the speed of the SI attacks is now entirely based on the fact that Zoe is slow and black and white. You're seeing Boyz in the Favela put on a clinic in terms of the SI side so far, and this next hit, I'm a little scared for Skyrise, because this is where we saw that ridiculous triple cap go out the first time. They're going to have two people going through the crate who are slow, almost three now because Innuendo's bleeding out as well, and the rocket spawns are once again going to be at play here with this Hunter, Smoker, Charger, and Boomer. Charger's going to work its way in, going for the kill onto Frey. Frey is almost dead. He is down to 4 HP, black and white. Hunter going for the scratch, and that is going to be the kill. Innuendo in the front, taking the pills instead, I believe. And that is real unfortunate for Mr. Frey himself, because he was black and white in that scenario and was indeed about to die from that smoke charge. Let's see exactly what Team Skyrise are able to do now, because we do see the lulls coming out in infected chat as we go. But so far, this has been all Favela Boyz game. It's going to be about a 1,200 point, maybe 1,100 point difference as we go into the next map, depending on what happens on this hit. NF still has a decent amount of bonus to his name. There's going to be the double cap going out, however, with that Smoker landing along with the Charger whiffing. The Jockey managed to not get the wipe onto NF, but did manage to secure an in-cap here to where we have two survivors, black and white, and just NF playing Bill, who is going to be 77 HP, but with a pretty difficult task on his hands as that Charger goes in from the roof and delays the pickup. Innuendo is now dead because of that. The Smoker pull, oh my goodness. I was going to say, if there was a Smoker that pulled a second earlier there, that was going to be another triple cap almost on that hit before, but instead they're going to have to settle for what could potentially be a double, but instead NF does manage to kill the Jockey and is now clearing the Hunter. Man, this is unfortunate for Team Skyrise. I'll say that right now, because they're going to have one survivor alive. There's the Smoker that we were all maybe looking for earlier to wrap this up, but that's going to be one survivor dying to common, the other one dying due to the smoke, and a very, very nice lead for Team Boyz in the Favela going into map 3. Based on this so far, I don't know if we'll exactly see the finale played, but I'll say with the map distance of each of these chapters being what it is, like, the game isn't 100% out of reach yet for Team Skyrise. And listen, I understand there needs to be a certain level of optimism, right, while casting, but the thing in this scenario that's really showed it so far, I think, really does just come down to how comfortable Boyz in the Favela are with the SI situation, right? Because we saw their tanks do a decent amount of work. They didn't even need a tank on the first map because they already got the quad cap from it. Their synchronization is so good to the point that any one of these hits could really do just like a sizable amount of damage on the Team Skyrise. Because when they're playing with that momentum, they can kind of play SI, you know, I think more naturally based on how well you have a lead in a game, right? So let's see if they're managing to continue the tone of the map so far on Boyz in the Favela side. There is one risk for them at this point, and that is that this tank is at 38%. If they were able to get the wipe on Team Skyrise's side right now, on Team, they might be able to do something they haven't done in this game so far, but I think Team Boyz in the Favela are going to be looking to maybe try to make every map if they possibly can, because if they're looking to continue their momentum in the playoffs to the point where they're looking for a rematch with Envy as well, they're going to want to play as well as they possibly can. And yes, I saw the reaction that Dina had when they won that game. So with that said, we are going to be seeing this first hit for Team Skyrise be a smoker, a jockey, spitter, and a charger off the rooftops, and looks like the survivors are going to work their way onto the generator as the pull goes out with a charge going too, but that is going to be the clear. Going out onto the charger before the pull charge spit is able to land. Really nice job by Boyz in the Favela as they work their way forward. I think they're going to shop this room for a split second, and then they're going to continue holding W, maybe to the event, because this is the thing about this version of Crash Course, right? If they can push outside, they have this event to deal with in the same way you would on normal Crash Course map 2 without having to deal with any of this office situation, and they are going to take the one-way drop before that next hit is up, just because of their ability to pace the way they are. But it's the same exact event, except instead of getting into the truck that you normally see at the end, you go through this wall on the side for about another 600 points of distance, I'm pretty sure. So again, completely different layout from the original Crash Course, but the first test for Team Boyz in the Favela is going to be shutting down this hit. They do manage to get double boomed there while killing the charger. Hunter lands for a split second. Jockey's still bouncing around before landing onto Zoe, but again, very quick clears. They really, in that area, were not able to get that charger to land anywhere near the survivors at the same time as the Hunter and the jockey, so they got what little damage I think they could, and now the survivors are going to be able to stand around and chill for the most part, because I think the only spawns above them are from those windows across from them, which is why they're standing on top of these buses. I would be real surprised to see any kind of multicap here, but stranger things have happened. Instead, it's going to be another charger getting cleared before landing after managing to take a smoker pull, and that's 2 pull charge spits in a row that Boyz in the Favela have managed to clear with absolutely no damage despite the ping. I think that really, really helps them out, and they might be able to go as fast as they want to as this gate is opening now. Let's see what the next hit's going to be, because it might be the last one before the tank for Team Skyrise. Hunter, Jockey, Smoker, and one other spawn coming into queue in just a second. I don't know if they're actually going to be due for a quad here. It would be a decent position for it just because of the rooftops. But with the Boomer instead, they're just going to be going for the classic multi-cap, almost Left 4 Dead 1 style, depending on what happens here. Survivors taking their sweet time, moving forward, shopping the ammo, searching the rooms. Let's see if they can manage to avoid this alarm car, though, because the Smoker's already set up on it, and nightmare scenario, of course, is for that to happen at the same time as the tank. The Boomer spawns on the other side of the truck and booms underneath the semi, which I think is pretty awesome to see in terms of Left 4 Dead 2, Left 4 Dead 2 vomit physics, of course, just straight across the way. The rest of the hit is going to be getting shut down as the alarm car does get triggered, however, so this is actually probably the right play, I'd say, for Team Boyz in the Favela, because even though they shoot the alarm car thanks to what the SI did, they don't have to worry about the alarm car on the run back, and they also don't have to worry about it as they're going forward to trigger the tank. They should be able to kill most of this horde without like a stupendous amount of damage, unless this charger manages to land some kind of rocket onto them. But once again, I think this is worth it to wait a couple seconds and maybe deal with the damage and then completely avoid that issue later. Beautiful skeet going out by Dina. Charger again, not going to land. Spit is jumping around up there as well. Boomer is going to get a single boom onto Zoe. But that is going to be it so far, as the survivors are going to work their way forward close to this tank spawn on the top of this set of rails right here. Innuendo is going to have the tank for Team Skyrise. We're going to see exactly what he does with it as it is up in his hands right now. Let's see if he decides to send any toys at the survivor. I don't think he's going to, and there's still horde honestly trickling in from the back. This is an interesting area for the survivors to take it. Smoker, Jockey, and a Hunter for the SI support as the tank is going to commit. Smoker pull is going to go out and is going to miss. I think the tick rate's lagging just a bit as the tank is all the way in. That early pounce is going to go out. Rock goes out onto Bill. That is going to be what looks like the in cap, but the tank is going to get hit a couple times in the back with a melee as the double cap goes out. On the other side, throwing a rock, missing Dina. Dina going for the tongue clear on the Smoker as the tank is pushing him back, getting the rock around the corner, but he managed to get the clear. Oh my goodness, that jockey forward is so good for Team Skyrise. That's going to be a dead tank. That shotgun clear with the tongue breaking by Dina as he was kiting back. Managed to save that for the second, but now we do have this hit coming in. Charger is going to land. Jockey's going for the cover. Francis is looking for the clear, but he has to reload. That's going to be 2 pounds from the Charger onto Dina. This is Skyrise's moment. They need to clinch something close to a wipe here. Either that or maybe like boom and pounce the guy in front. Something like that. But they're going to be trolling this pickup first with that smoker pull going out. Spitter is also now in the spawn queue. Smoker's not quite dead. Waiting for the tongue clear once again, I think, is Zoe, but there is no tongue to clear. So now they have to go forward and they have to find out exactly where to go to get to Lewis here. I think they just jump off the side and then have to work their way back around. But that's a pretty nice tank going out there by Innuendo. That was a split second from the full wipe. It was just the ability to clear that smoker tongue. And actually, that wasn't as vicious of a reset as I thought it was. I think this just means the survivors can keep moving their way forward, but they have no pills. That was definitely Skyrise putting their weight back in this match. If they can secure this wipe relatively soon and then make the map, we could be having a very entertaining Map 4 and Map 5 coming up. And again, it was so close to a triple cap wipe, or with the tank managing to lock up that last corner, but that tongue clear on that smoker really did clutch it out, especially from that distance. But really nice job by Skyrise so far. Let's see if they can bring it home with this quad. Charger, Jockey, Smoker, and a Hunter for their next hit as the survivors are inside. This is going to be pretty difficult here, though, because the survivors are all up top, and I think the SI have realized that, and they're just going to basically back their way up as much as possible or come through the skylights here as the survivors are working their way down. That might be better because then they can rocket on them on the stairs when the survivors are pushing forward. Let's see if that's actually what they decide to do with this quad cap. Smoker spawning inside, going for the survivor in the back. Charger is not going to land either. Nice skeet going out by Dino once again. Really nothing working there. Just too much space, I think, for the survivors to be able to kite around and too narrow of a window for the SI to get those rocket spawns onto them before they got cleared. Skeeting the Hunter in one shot always does help as well. That said, I think now, right, they're over halfway through the map in terms of where the... I don't know, they're over halfway through the map in terms of distance, but with that tank dead, I think Boyz in the Favela can kind of just make their way at their own pace, which is exactly what you don't want if you're Team Skyrise. I'd like to see them get maybe close to an in-cap here on this hit if at all possible. Jockey, Boomer, Hunter, and a Spitter for that setup. Let's see if they're able to do it as the survivors work their way outside. Jumping into this boom, but the boom gets laddered on the front of the truck. I do not believe he was trying to do that, and usually I didn't even know that that grill was climbable. But alright then, that's going to be no damage going out on that instead. The bleed is still real though for Boyz in the Favela. That's going to be DDA at 39, going slow now. And they're close enough to where they probably make the safe room, but if they take one more good hit, they're going to have like next to no bonus. Right now they still have 439, but if they can get a couple of in-caps out on this again, that would really open up the chance for some kind of comeback to happen here for Skyrise on this third map. They have a Hunter, Charger, Smoker, and a Spitter for the next hit. And it's going to be as the survivors are coming outside again, I'm fairly sure, just because the Charger is all the way on top of that roof looking to rocket. I don't know if they're going to manage to get this pull, however. No, indeed, they're not going to be able to, but they do get the double cap with the Hunter and the Charger instead. As the smoke goes out now, that's a beautiful attack by Team Skyrise, getting those exact in-caps that I was just talking about. On the revive, they're probably still going to have like around 273 bonus, which looks like it actually is a lot more than what it looks like in terms of their health right now. And I think on either scoring system that would be true, just because they have 3 people that slow. They don't have anybody black and white yet, however, so that I think is the next order of business for Team Skyrise. As this Boomer does manage to get a single arc boom from the top of that silo. Hunter, Spitter, and Jockey going in. Jockey is going to land onto Zoe as that pound spit goes down. Onto Bill, that is going to knock DDA black and white, so that's exactly what the SI were looking to make happen on that hit. As we're going to see the rest of these commons still trickle their way in. DDA is going to be black and white at just under 30 HP, and then Dina and Sheep are both around 9 HP on their first in-cap, so they are definitely looking to go down in the next couple of hits, especially because there's going to be another strong one coming up for Skyrise right now. Charger, Boomer, Jockey, and a Smoker. Let's see if they manage to make this happen. There is going to be the double boom going out with a Smoker pull onto Lewis in the back. Jockey's going to land onto Francis with a Charger coming in as well. That is almost the last of the permanent health gone from the survivors and all of the health bonus. They only have 20 bonus left for 30% of that DB. It's going to be a little bit more when that survivor gets up, but basically they have no bonus left to speak of, and already is, I mean, this is almost the best based on what's happened that Team Skyrise could look for. You know, they already have the chance to take that tank better, and if they can actually make this map with, I don't know, even a couple hundred bonus, that would really, really help them out right now, based on the fact that Boyz in the Favela, they're probably 1 or 2 hits from dead, because they have one person who's 10 health black and white, and one person who's about to be 20 health black and white, with one other person almost about to go down, that being Dr. Sheep himself, and they're actually maybe having him ghost walk to lead this drop into the next area for that reason. Hunter is going to spawn up, going for the scratch down below, and is now going to get it onto him. He is as well going to be black and white when he stands back up. That spit isn't going to go in. That boomer does get a double proxy. Smoker is going to get cleared as this Hunter is jumping around in the back, not quite landing, but there you go. That's 3 survivors now, black and white, for Boyz in the Favela, including DDA, at 1 HP. They still have Common trickling in, and this spitter outside could be the trick that Team Skyrise need right here. Sheep is almost going to die. He's now down to 8 HP, black and white. So all the survivors are under 10 health. 3 of them are black and white. Hunter gets 1 kill. Hunter gets an in cap with the next scratch. Jockey goes in and manages to get a kill. Dr. Sheep is the last survivor up. And there is a charger in the spawn queue who might even be able to just stumble him down depending on where he lands. Here's the attempt at the revive. Charger goes in, is going to completely whiff, and is not going to get the punch either. So they're not quite dead. Boyz in the Favela are fighting for every single distance point on this map. One more hit, though, unfortunately for them, I do believe, is going to do it, unless everything somehow manages to miss. That's going to be a boomer proxy going out, smoker pull in the back, and just this Hunter left is going to pin Caution on the railing. But once again, a decent amount of points being scored by Team Boyz in the Favela there. If that had been a wipe at that tank, that would have given a couple hundred, maybe 300, I think, more points to Team Skyrise in terms of their attempt to bring this game back. But at this point, they can only focus on 1 tank at a time, and basically 1 hit at a time at the same point, because they need to make the map and they need to preserve some kind of bonus in order to keep this close. Boyz in the Favela are going to try to stop that by any means possible. Let's see exactly what they're able to do on the special infected side of things as we Team Skyrise, on Survivor side, with a bit of a job to do, but one that they definitely can accomplish, because we've seen them in a bunch of positions before where they've had to make something happen, and they have. So let's see if this goes the way that those did or not, as that smoker pull is going to go outside. Jockey gets M2'd and then does land pretty briefly. Smoker's the one that got the most damage, though, 14 on the board for Caution. If that Charger or Jockey had landed in the safe room, that could have been real bad for Team Skyrise, but they were able to get the shutdowns that they needed as they start pushing their way forward once again. And I think they're going to do the same thing that we saw Boyz in the Favela do, which is get out of this building, because this building is a lot of damage if the hit's still coming up, and I do believe it's actually a one-way drop if they aren't careful. So they actually haven't been able to get outside. This could be a real big opportunity for Boyz in the Favela. I think they were maybe ready for it if the survivors went forward too, because of that Charger being on top of the wall. But personally, for me, I really don't like this, at least from what I've seen of it so far. This inside seems like it could do a massive amount of damage if that Hunter is able to get some kind of wall kick. It's going to be a Charger, Boomer, and a Spitter for the rest of the hit as the survivors are working their way down. As they're dropping, Charger goes in and gets absolutely melted by those shotguns. Spitter is not going to land either. The Hunter did manage to land with a double boom, but that spit was not able to capitalize on that. So decent job by Skyrise not to take a massive amount of damage, and now they're going to hold out this event in pretty much the exact same spot, because I think it is pretty easy to see it's the best one available to them, avoiding most of those rocket spawns coming from pretty much anywhere. Calling out the Deagle on Francis, who has put himself on the edge of this bus, that being Innuendo, looking to get as many common kills as he can, because the only thing you really need here is not to get hoarded. That is what I would say. Spitter, Jockey, Charger, and a Smoker going in. There's the pull going out with the charge going onto it as well, and that's the pull charge spit landing. Exact same style attack we saw Skyrise do, but Boyz in the Favela making it land with that short distance charge. That's a good chunk of damage as well off of Innuendo's health. This tank's going to be up into the hands of Caution eventually on this map, but I think with the rest of this event still to go, plus the rest of the map, they have a few more hits they have to deal with before they actually get there. Let's see if that proves true, because this horde is already almost dead. Charger, Boomer, Hunter, and a Jockey for the next hit from Boyz in the Favela, looking for those sweet, sweet rocket spawns above the survivors. Let's see if they manage to make this work. Hunter in the back, going in, going to get skeeted. Charger's going to whiff. Jockey is looking for anything and does manage to find a quick jerk onto NF in the front, but he is not going to get a whole lot of damage that time, as the survivors are able to clear that out. They also have the alarm car choke to deal with, meaning they could choose to do the same thing and basically shoot it and wait for the SI hit to, you know, basically go in before they spawn the tank, or they could just push directly past it and maybe not worry about it. I don't know if they want to take the tank in the same spot, though. If they're taking it forward, they don't have to worry about that or the SI hit, really, as long as they don't get boomed. But let's see if this hit does any damage. As it goes in, Smoker Pull goes out, Jockey DP as well. Hunter gets blown out of the sky by NF right there. Good job by him to shut that down with the Uzi. And indeed, Skyrise are not going to worry about the alarm car whatsoever. They're going to be pushing this forward, at least for the moment, to fight the tank here. And as I mentioned, it's going to be up right now into the hands of Caution himself for Boyz in the Favela. One of the more well-known players, I would say, across the world of competitive Left 4 Dead 2, to say the least. Let's see if he's gonna make this happen here with his 200 ping tank, as well as he moves his way to the side. Looks as though he's looking for the survivors to back up at least maybe a bit here, but they're staying forward actually with those Uzis, looking to get some kind of chip. Boomer spawns below, not gonna get anything from that distance, and it does take them just a split second to kill it, as this Charger and Hunter are also in the spawn queue here. The only thing that really worries, there are a couple things that worry me about this spot, right? The first one is you've got this incline that they're standing on, so if somebody gets double charged off that or punched, that's going to be either close to a death or an in-cap. The other thing that worries me aside from that, because the first thing was the most important thing, I think, is that you also have these spawns pretty much all around the survivors, on the roof behind them, plus in front, plus on the other side. So they gotta be careful as they're backing up here, because the tank is gonna be committing. He's already down to 4K. Survivors working their way back to the truck as well. There's the double cap going in with the double charge landing. Jockey looking for something as well, managing to go on the hunted target as the tank is gonna find this corner. That's gonna be a gorgeous amount of damage going out on a Team Skyrise, with the tank still having 3K HP, deciding to get out now. He still has 2.2K, and I don't think there's any way at all he lets these pickups happen. Rock is going to go in, managing to land onto Francis, and then another punch going out onto Francis. He punched him into the ground. Another punch going out there, managing to get the in-cap onto Innuendo as well. What an amazing tank by Caution in that spot. I mean, I think he made the right play there on the triple cap attempt after the double charge went out, to just go for the survivor who got proxy charge, and then he let the Jockey take the Hunter's target to keep that separation in play. So that, I think, is almost as much damage as he could have gotten there, and that does put Team Skyrise in a unfortunate position, at least for the moment, because they only have one set of pills left and 3 people bleeding. Pretty non-ideal situation when they're trying to make the comeback on this map, but they're gonna seemingly have to wait potentially until map 4 to make that happen, unless they're managing to preserve this bonus. That Hunter is gonna be spawning in the train car there, as the rest of the hit is spawned to the outside. It's a Charger and a Jockey and a Spitter, all just kind of bouncing around, but the survivors are bleeding as they're close to this train car. This is an unfortunate situation for them, because now that Spit's going to go inside, Charger's going to go in, that's going to be the Jockey landing before the Charger with a pre-Spit. That's going to be almost another full in-cap onto NF. Nice skeet going out there in the back by Venom, but unfortunately it was not enough to shut down the SI pinners that did the actual damage on that hit. So now there's going to be one person slow in terms of NF for Team Skyrise, but Venom he's bleeding out as well, so if they take any more damage on this next hit, they might have 2 slow, and at that point, again, the hits just from any team that knows how to take advantage of survivors that are slow like that are just going to do a lot more damage than they would if they manage to find some pills. Nothing yet, however, as the Smoker Pull goes out for the in-cap onto NF. Boomer does go for an arc boom, but is not going to find it from that corner. Couple Jockey scratches do go out, though, and that puts Venom slow as well. NF is going to be slow black and white, and Venom is slow 38 HP. As he's working his way here. So that means I would give it maybe 3 more, depending on what lands. Like, there's 3 to 4 more hits, I would say, like this for Skyrise before we see somebody die. It could even be the next hit, depending on how these go. With 3 survivors about to be slow, This is really, really unfortunate for anybody trying to like jump out of the way of a hunter or a charger. I would say on stairs like this, they can't really kite as well as they could, and that's why they're putting Frey in the front with that permanent HP. Nice job M2ing that boomer. Hunter and charger both going in from below. Charger's not going to land. Spit does go down onto nothing, so nicely handled hit there, and that's exactly the reason why we see Frey in front with that permanent HP, I'm pretty sure, and playing that shoddy. At this stage, they would really prefer just to have, I don't know, anybody else manage to preserve that bonus, but they're focused on the distance at this point because they still have, I think, 2 more hits before they get close to where Boyz and the Favela were on their survivor side. Smoker, Jockey, Boomer, and a Hunter for this next hit for the SI. Boomer's going to spawn on top of the roof, not finding the arc boom there as the smoke spawns down below. Hunter, Jockey both coming in as well, maybe trying to get the survivors to shoot that alarm car, but nothing doing so far, and the Boomer is also not going to land. The Go-Go coming out in survivor chat because that's exactly what they have to do at this time despite their health. Let's see if they are able to do just that as they push through this next area. Something else I've seen so far playing this map is just the fact that you have a lot of, I don't know, very detailed spaces, I would say, but also very different spaces when it comes to where they are. This is kind of like a pool restaurant area, pool hall restaurant cross of some kind. But once again, as they push into this wide open area here, they're going to have to worry about the spawns above their heads as the Charger is going to go in looking for the in cap, and he does manage to get it off of a stumble onto Venom. Smoker Pull goes out onto Innuendo in the back as well, almost killing him, but not quite there. He is actually only on 1 in cap too. The person who's almost dead is NF. And where is NF? NF is actually right in the center of the survivors there. Now they're going to be in capping another survivor to have 3 of them black and white going forward here. This is a very similar situation we saw to Team Boyz in the Favela, but 1 scratch on NF is going to be enough to do it. Jockey's going to go in, and he does get skeeted by that Uzi. Boomer spawns as well, not quite able to find it. The SI are kind of spawning as they want to right now, just because they're going for that kill. Once that happens, you know, actually, never mind, that's going to be it right there, as we do see the claw go in. Only 3 survivors left. Boomer is not quite even, like, their #1 concern right now. If they get hit by anything, right, that Charger almost killed Innuendo. Like, if they get boomed, they're just going to stand in the middle of Horde and have more things hit them. This is really precarious for Team Skyrise. I think that's going to be a common, actually. Nope, that's actually Frey killing Innuendo. Never mind, it wasn't the Boomer, it wasn't the Pinners, it was the other survivors that managed to do it. But this Hunter is going to look maybe to DP someone here. Not quite going to land it as the Smoker Pull goes out. Jockey's getting M2'd as well. Venom doing the best that he possibly can to keep this round alive, but with 2 survivors dead, anything could do it at this point. Venom also, okay, he's at 5 HP, so he's not quite a free spit away from going down yet if he can manage to jump out of it. But even a claw at this point is going to bring this to an end. There's the double boom that I was kind of worried about before, just because now they're going to have almost no room to jump away from something like a charged spit here with this amount of Horde. They're also bleeding, so Venom's just at 1 at this point, and I think they're going to try to kill him, and indeed they are. He is going to jump out of the spit, though, so he did have just enough to dodge that free spit thanks to that railing as the Hunter gets cleared as well. But the Charger is just going to camp this corner as Frey has killed another teammate, that being Venom, and the Charger is going to end it with that, and that's going to be another map 1 by Team Boyz in the Favela, bringing the total score of this match to 2,657 to 1,335. Heavily in favor of the tournament's #1 seed at the moment, but this being the first time we've seen this map played, it's giving me, it's hard to judge based on just the first match, because you've got, you know, the caliber of the teams is one thing, but I think Favela might know it just a little bit better based on their SI so far. Overall, though, giving me kind of like a pacifist feel, because there's lots of distance points on these maps where even right now, right, let's say, what is the actual tank percentage? Okay, the tank's at 30%. Hypothetically, if Skyrise wiped them here, they could make the safe room and bring this back to some level where map 5 actually makes sense. But a lot of the tanks, it seems like it's possible to survive them just by, you know, kiting into a more open area. There's only 1 or 2 hittables in each spot. There's lots of choices for the survivors to be able to make to where, you know, they're not going to wipe if they play in the right spots, which I think is really key on a lot of these maps. And I don't know if Team Skyrise can manage to pull off some kind of quad like we saw Favela Boyz do on map 1, but this would be the time to try it, maybe just with the amount of rocket spawns they're going to have before the survivors even get close to that tank. Let's see if they're able to make it happen, though. Team Boyz in the Favela on Survivor side, Skyrise on SI. First, it's going to be a Boomer, Jockey, Smoker, and a Charger. With that Boomer pre-spawn on the roof, looking for anything, and I think we're learning right now that I don't think it's possible. Never mind. I was going to say that it's not possible to wall him, but I was proven completely wrong by the fact they just picked the Boomer through the roof. So once again, map knowledge becoming a really important part of the game. It's been a really important part of the game, but even on something like that, with the Boomer dead, that's going to cause the Infected to wait for that next spawn to be in the queue as the survivors push forward. Jockey, Smoker, Charger, and a Hunter, so it's a quad cap now instead of the Spit, and it looks as though they're going to send it before the survivors go inside. There's the Charger going to manage to land. Jockey's going for the land as well next to the Hunter, but gets M2'd by Adina as that Hunter gets cleared. That looked real scary just for a split second because the survivors were trying their absolute hardest to get inside before that hit landed, but thankfully there was an M2 that went out for Boyz in the Favela, and Skyrise, that was real close. I think that was a lot closer than it actually looked. That Smoker too needed to maybe have a bit more distance between itself and the survivors, but almost as this next hit is now ready to go in as well. Smoker, Charger, Spitter, and a Boomer for the hit 14 Skyrise. Let's see exactly what they elect to do with it. They might be deciding to go when the survivors push into this big room that reminds me of one of the spots you can hold it out in the offices on Dead Air, but instead it looks like they're actually going to wait for the survivors to transition out of this room into this other locker room area. It might be kind of difficult, I think, to get too close to spawn on them here, because yeah, they're gonna clear the Smoker pool really fast. Smoker there is really not ideal, I don't think, especially not for an area like that. Charger is gonna try for it, but he slams into the door that was already open. No real damage going out, and just a lonely Boomer left for Venom to try to send in. Let's see if he does it or not, because this tank is going to be up into the hands of Frey himself for Team Skyrise. He has to make something big happen here, as we've gotten to map 4. And this is an area where he definitely could do it, but in terms of how he passed them, I'm not 100% sure if the survivors are just going to decide to stay in this room or try to move around him like they did on the other couple maps that we saw, because both the times they decided to move from one area to the other were really effective for them. This looks like a pretty hard area to wipe as SI unless some kind of hittable lands, because now the tank has found them. He has a single boom, and he does have one forklift down here. Let's see if he can make it happen. I think he's going to throw... Yeah, okay, he's throwing a rock at the survivors first. I thought he was originally going to throw it at the forklift to see if it was hittable, but instead he's going to knock this dumpster through the door, and I don't know if the survivors are just going to see this and leave, or if they're just going to stay here, but they're going to have a Hunter, Jockey, and a Smoker on the special infected side of things as Frey is committing this tank. He has a dumpster there behind Francis, and DDA is just kiting him now between these two hittables. Smoker is going to spawn up, going to pull him, not going to land. Dumpster hops in the air. This entire fight has been on this catwalk so far. Tank is going to drop down though, shooting a dumpster through the pipe. Did that just happen? Okay, cool. That just went like through the actual pipe up there, as we do have a survivor split with a Smoker pull going out. Zoe is getting punched around towards the forklift. Rock is now going to be picked up by the tank, thrown in, not going to land. He has just about 2k left under it now as he's pushing in, but he is going to be absolutely dead with only 3 hits, I'm fairly sure. That was such an awkward situation for the special infected there, because DDA was pinned between that dumpster and that forklift, and the Smoker spawned up behind the boxes trying to pull him, but could not get the pull, and that's when you saw the dumpster just kind of bounce off and go nowhere there, as the tank is now down to 40% HP, throwing a rock around the corner, looking for one last-minute miracle hittable of some kind. Boomer is going to go out, Rock is going to go flying up, is going to get skeeted. Frey's tank, 15 HP, that is going to be it for that fight. What a wild... I don't know, that was almost a death. I was going to say that was a wild almost kill, but honestly, the way that DDA played it, if he gets pulled there, he maybe gets hittable, but that's such an awkward spot to try to kill somebody, because hittables can either like bounce over the railing or get stuck there. The survivors are drilling you the entire time, especially if they have Uzis. So it's just like, okay, that was a spot that I think was inclined for the Favela to be just fine, and they pretty much are. Aside from that double cap going out, Spit went for the charge target instead. That's actually a lot of damage. I should correct myself. Favela Boyz were fine on the tank fight. That hit definitely was not fine because of the Jockey and the Hunter that went out in the back. And the Spitter actually went for the charger target in front. I think that was Lewis who managed to juke it, but still a decent amount of damage going out. Full in cap being suffered. Still, there's 667 points of bonus even right now for Boyz in the Favela. And how many distance points? They still have like 500 left or something like that too. Checking the map. Yeah, okay, so this distance is actually 800 as well. They still have a lot of map and a lot of points that they can score on this chapter. This hit is going to be coming in now, though. Charger is going to get annihilated. Jockey's bouncing around, not really doing a whole lot of damage. Smoker is spawned on the silo in the back, looking for some kind of pull, but nothing really going for them, unfortunately, as the survivors are going to hold their W keys once again, getting close to this massive construction site area. Another ladder that they have to climb, but I'm really liking the way that Dina has basically been holding W through this map, like the entire match. I think that might be because of the map knowledge situation like that, but I've seen really confident survivor play from Vela. And with this 4th tank dead in a row now, it's like they basically can cruise their way close to the safe room once again, which is exactly what you want in a situation like this. That's going to be a skeet going out as well onto that Hunter. Charger's going to get annihilated. Smoker is not finding a pull, and that Spitter is going to get nothing. Smoker, last thing to die as well in that hit, so no smoke on the next hit. It's going to probably be a Charger, Hunter, Jockey, and a Boomer, depending on what the survivors do when they get close here, because I don't know if we might see one random spawn try to get them because they are kind of separated, but once again, the pacing is really all on Boyz in the Favela side. Hunter, Jockey, Boomer, and that Charger, as I mentioned, not really an amazing hit to get a lot of they have to land a multi-cap. It's not an amazing hit to get a lot of stumble damage or anything like that, because it's really not. But that's going to be a Jockey landing with a Charger going for the stumble anyway, into the wall, getting a couple punches. DDA almost being knocked down to that 50 HP level, but he's still got a bit to go before he goes slow. I think he probably survives one more hit. If he holds W right now, he's got like, what, 10 seconds or something? That would be probably beneficial for Boyz in the Favela, because they're just trying to make as much distance as possible right now with 2 survivors in full bleed. Nobody black and white yet, however, and this next area could be pretty beneficial for Team Skyrise if they manage to get this triple cap to land. Hunter, Smoker, and Jockey for it. Hunter's going in, trying to pounce by that sign there, not quite getting it. Smoker pull is going to go out, however, on to the survivor on top of the truck. Jockey's going to be the last thing to land there, and he does get cleared pretty instantaneously, so not a massive amount of damage going out there. No real triple cap threat because of the insta-clears going. Each hit, pretty much, we've seen that Boyz in the Favela have shut down. They've managed to either get that skeet or get that instantaneous clear on the tongue, something like that to actually make it happen and avoid damage in areas where they could be taking a lot more, which is exactly what you want if you're defending a lead like this. That arc boom somehow didn't land over that police car. Charger's gonna go in from the front, imagine to get a punch down and then a charge on to Francis. Spitter and a Hunter as well, looking to get something off of this, and finally the pounce is going to land with a spit going down on top of that. That's a bit more damage going out onto Caution, but nothing really past that in cap, I would say. One survivor now being DDA is black and white, and he's actually the only survivor so far, according to Specca, who's taken it down. So this is really, really good for Boyz in the Favela. They just don't want him to die. They have 24% health bonus left, which is still 291 points of bonus, with the survivors carrying that being Bill and Lewis. They could very easily even have DDA die, actually, and make it to the safe room with like 200 points of bonus or something like that. Let's see if they manage to do so. Charger is going in towards Sheep, missing that charge. Jockey does manage to get another in cap onto Zoe, but it's really no problem because that is her first down, and all the bonus is health bonus at this point. Let's see if the survivors are actually able to make it before the next hit. I don't believe they are because they have still somehow 200 points of distance. I actually thought the end of the map was off this drop here at the end or off this ladder, but indeed it is not. That means the infected probably have like 2 more hits. This is going to be a Hunter going in for a wall kick onto Zoe. Smoker going for a scratch as well. Boomer and Spitter, last 2 things to die. Spit is going to delay in the front, and that bonus is down to 243 now. That's, of course, before any deaths, and as that Boomer dies for this quad cap attempt. This is probably the point of the game where we can guarantee we're not going to see map 5 with a 2k point advantage prior to the survivors making the safe room. I would be roasted, though, if these 2 teams manage to meet again in this tournament or otherwise, right? It's hard to tell exactly what the impact of a custom map is, but this one, I think you see a lot of instances where that like ability to practice the map at least a bit before this round has really helped Favela Boyz out. This hit's gonna go in though. That's a beautiful double charge going out with that Hunter going for scratches as as well. That was nearly a quad cap, but everything was cleared by those melee weapons before that was able to go out. You see the LOLs going out in Survivor chat as well, so that was a pretty scary situation for Boyz in the Favela, but as has been the story of this game, they have survived it so far and are going to be making their way ever so close to that safe room. Each one of these maps, this is why it was giving me a passive ice feel, is because it's so, like, each map is its own individual challenge, I would say, for the Survivor team with the amount of spawns you see available here. That's another Hunter Skeet going out. That's going to be Spit going down pretty much on nothing. Smoker does get a quick pull, but as the Survivors are making their way, this is going to be a pretty nice way for Team Boyz in the Favela to continue their performance in the United Nations Tournament 2021, just based on what I've seen here. And that is the advantage of having lineups that work, I'd say, across different regions too, because these players pretty much have their coordination down pat, at least in a situation like this where they've got that map knowledge advantage. That said, Team Skyrise has a Jockey, Smoker, Charger, and a Hunter quad cap attempt for what might be the last hit of this chapter. That's going to be the Hunter getting blown out of the sky once again, but a kill is going to go out onto Francis as that charge lands onto Bill. Jockey is going to get M2'd there at the end of things. Survivor with the Deagle also looking to pick that Smoker. Instead, Zoe is going to be the one who manages to shut that down. One by one here. The Survivors still have a chance of being prevented from at least making the safe room, which would be a moral victory for Team Skyrise. Yet, at the same point in time, DDA is saying, help me, in Survivor chat. Boomer is going to get popped. A moral victory would still be important here, because since this is a double elimination bracket, Skyrise are going to move on from this and have to continue on a different map in this tournament, hoping for that kind of rematch. There's a kill going out as the Hunter is going to land along with that charge. That is going to be the end of Team Boyz in the Favela on this map, bringing their total score to 3,407 points. We have also discovered in Survivor chat that fire is hot and that it could possibly hurt you. I'm glad that we have reached a point as a community where we can figure that out after 14 years or whatever it's been. So congratulations for figuring out the basic elements of Earth. I'm very, very proud of Team Boyz in the Favela for doing that. But I'm also, if I'm Team Skyrise here, the game is obviously over, right? But they need to just try to take away as much as they can from this last map. Okay, they've had a chance to play the map on Special Infected side now. We don't really have war rooms, so I don't know exactly what their reactions to the map have been. I know that they have a couple of first-person streamers over there too, so that's something that I'm sure I'll be interested in. But for the next matchup, like I said, in a game like this, if it does come down to the fact that one team knew the map better, they can just kind of try to move on from it as much as possible and, you know, put up the best fight they possibly can against the best team in the tournament and then hope for a comeback on a different scenario. We are going to see that Boomer going for a sneaky boom from the top of that tank as we see this last chapter go into play. Charger's looking for some kind of death charge off the railing, not going to land it. The Boomer got popped first, Smoker got shut down. No real damage going out off that hit except for the 16 damage from Dina's Charger punches, I believe. Bonus right now is sitting at 1,679 to give you an example of how much each one of these chapters is worth. And with 800 distance, they really, really need to... Like, I don't know if we're going to see a nerf on any of these maps, but if you have 4 chapters in a row that are close to 800 distance, there could be some absolutely ridiculously high-scoring games on this campaign. I was going to say they might need to nerf a part of it, but again, it's hard to tell the initial balance of the map just from one match in a tourney. This is going to be a pounce landing onto Zoe with a boom and a spit following on top of that as well, and there's the proxy boom going out onto Bill and Zoe. That's a 2-2 that just did nearly 100 damage on that proxy boom with the edge of that spit. That is really unfortunate for Team Skyrise, and they are saying it as we just saw. That hammerjack indeed did stop them from being able to move, just because it's one of those annoying little collidable props that we are going to that you see just cause a huge problem for being something so small in the map. This is now too going to be a Charger, Spitter, Hunter, and a Smoker, as we see Boyz in the Favela doing their own commentary in Infected chat, as is tradition, I would say, in the Left 4 Dead 2 community. Let's see if the Infected decide to hit inside this room. Indeed, they're going to. Hunter going for the wall kick right there onto NF, with that spit going down on top of it as well. Smoker's going to get a couple scratches, and this is just... Yeah, this is the point in the match, as I mentioned before, where, you know, Team Skyrise is trying to take all the positives they can away from it, whatever those might have been. as things are not going their way so far on map 4. The tank is up now into the hands of Dina for Boyz in the Favela himself, a longtime player in the international Left 4 Dead 2 community, looking to lock this game up for his team if he can. And apparently it's possible to wall people there as well when the SI are running on the roof. Only a little bit of damage going out onto Dina with a single boom going out onto the survivors at the same time. Jockey and a Hunter for the special infected support. I think Smoker is probably the most ideal capper in this spot because it's that classic open area Jockey, Hunter, Smoker combination. But I mean, if they can get a Charger maybe to spawn behind the survivors as they're backing up or something, they could do some Death Toll 2 fuckery with it, but I'm not 100% sure they're gonna do that because the tank is gonna be in, and that's actually exactly what they're gonna try to do. The Charger is set up at the end of the hallway there. Hunter going for an early stumble, and there's an in-cap onto NF as he gets punched off the top of the catwalk, and Innuendo goes flying through the air as well for the in-cap. The Charger gets a pin onto Francis. Dina jumps in with that rock, going for the corner onto Frey. The GGs are going out, and that is Team Boyz in the Favela absolutely ending this in style, and the tank is doing a jig as one of the survivors is trying to melee him with that axe. This is how far we've come in Left 4 Dead 2 in the year 2022, with tanks being able to dance as he is right now, and Boyz in the Favela are going to dance their way right into the next round of the United Nations Tournament 2021, beating Team Skyrise by a score of 3,407 to 1,536 on Crash Course Rerouted. Hell of a game to see. Some excellent hits, especially by Boyz in the Favela, but the SI side of things I think were better than Survivor overall, just based on what we saw. But that being said, Boyz in the Favela made a couple of great calls on Survivor side to really take advantage of that. Congratulations to them, commiserations to Skyrise. I don't think we'll see a repeat of what happened on map 1 where those hittables were thought to be real but ended up not being real in any other scenario, and for them, like I said, they're probably just looking forward right now to moving to the next round of the tournament, focusing on that game, and hopefully playing on a map that they recognize just a bit better. So once again, congratulations to Boyz in the Favela, they advance, and Team Skyrise are going to move to that lower bracket. I am not 100% sure. This might have been, Kreitzer will tell me, I'm pretty sure, if it wasn't the last match of the weekend, but I am definitely excited to see the rest of the tournament as this plays out week to week. And it's going to be going over the next couple weeks, I'm fairly sure, before RBT6 kicks off. For those that don't know, RBT6 did get delayed by just about 2 weeks to allow this tournament to finish a little more, and I think that's 100% good for the community, just because I've been real entertained by this tournament, and the admins have done a great job, I think, so far, keeping the game alive in that way. So shout out to them, shout out to Kreitzer, shout out to the team, the server admins, of course, for all they're able to do. And for more information on the tournament, I do believe Kreitzer has a couple links to the challenge pages, if I'm not mistaken, and for all that RBT6 information, there are links to the Discord around. We may be able to put one in the chat as well right at the end of this. For other matches, I'm hoping to be able to cast again next weekend to see how this turns out, because I'm really looking forward to that potential Envy versus Favela Boyz rematch. But overall, I'd say for competitive Left 4 Dead 2, this is the tournament you want to watch, and this is the time you want to watch it. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I've been Rails Barlow, your caster for this evening. Shout out to Kreitzer for all the work that you do in the community as well, and I hope to see you all very, very soon.